Alright everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video with Fat Phil. Yes, we're wearing the glasses. I needed to have some reading glasses on for tonight. It's a late night, so figured I'd have them on. We're going to be talking today about whether you should start saving for the raid. And this is an interesting question because, you know, for a while I was really thinking that saving for the raid would be a really good idea. I absolutely thought that it was time to start saving for this raid. I don't know that that's the case anymore. We're going to kind of talk about why, get into what that means for your account and even for your guild, right? So, yeah, I don't know that it's time to start saving because, we don't have that information, but there's other factors that are leading into this. So let's get in here. Let's thank the channel members, as always, for their continued support. If you're ever interested, link below, along with link to Discord server. Go check that out. Thank you guys again for keeping the faith, believing in me, for all the support through thick, thin, good, bad. Y'all know the drill. I love you so much. Let's get in here. Let's talk about why I potentially would not be saving resources right now. Alright, so obviously I don't know that right now is the smartest decision is saving resources for the next potential raid. And there's a lot of reasoning behind this. The first reason that I really came to is I thought about the introduction of the crate raid, the speeder bike raid, and even went all the way back to the introduction for Rise of the Empire. We got information that each one of those things was coming, and they kind of gave us some of the characters and teams that would be required for that raid long in advance of it coming to Galaxy of Heroes. You know, when you think about start with like speeder bike raid for certain. You go to the speeder bike raid. They told us Leia would be required. They told us that a couple of her new characters would be required. So we knew going in, hey, if you want a surefire team to use in this raid, these are the characters that are going to be necessary, right? Like that was told to us. You know, we had that time that you could start building towards Leia, building those new things, knowing that they would be necessary for the raid. You know, going even, a little bit sooner than that, going back to the Battle for Naboo raid here. You think, we got Queen Amidala, right? And they said, hey, she's going to be needed in the upcoming raid along with her team being Padawan Obi-Wan, Master Qui-Gon. So again, kind of toss-ups there. And then they also told us that the Gungan faction would be Jar Jar would be required in this raid, and that they would be really good. So they gave us, well, they didn't give us the full thing. Again, they released some Lightspeed bundles to kind of help point the direction of Galactic Republic and Separatists, but they at least gave us the new stuff, if you will, that was going to be needed in the raid, and that in some ways gave you a hint as to the older faction, the older stuff that potentially would be needed. So I think for that reason, number one, I'd say saving for the raid right now is not the best decision because we still haven't gotten that communication. Like, we got those communications with enough time that you would have the ability to quickly react to the new stuff that would be coming for this raid. That whenever they make that announcement, that's probably when we start saving. And that's a change from where I was thinking initially. But another reason, again, that I think it's time to kind of hold off a little bit is because they made all those changes to the Naboo raid where they said, hey, we're making this a lot easier. And so I don't think you would go to all the hassle to implement those changes if it wasn't meant to stick around for a little bit. And if we're honest, they really haven't been around for that long. Not that I'm complaining. It's been awesome. It's kind of, I don't want to say it's made me love the Naboo raid again, but it's made life a lot easier. And I think that's a big bonus for them. So I do want to give them some credit there. And that's kind of, again, kind of going into like reason number two, that, they made all these changes to the raid. They spent all this time to fix things. You have to imagine they want this to continue out and play a little bit longer. So saving for the next one, again, still doesn't make sense because let's say it's 3 months away. I mean, in 3 months, you can get a lot of stuff done if you're diligent about it. And just saving those resources for something that we know it's coming, we don't know when, and we don't even know what it is. Just think about it like, from this angle. What if they chose a first order and resistance raid? I mean, everybody has light speed bundles for them. So it's just, like, okay, I don't really need to do anything. And again, I know that's an extreme example, but that's kind of the thought process that you could work through, is that you have to imagine most people who've played this game have something built for those raids, have something built for the raid that's coming, because you've played the game long enough to have a base foundation on most teams. Now, another reason why I would say that saving for the raid is not a great decision right now is because of, I think, 3 kind of conjunctions, crossovers, whatever the hell you want to call it, intersections. Number 1 is that intersection between Conquest, right? That personal growth in Conquest and Grand Arena, and then your growth as a guild, whether that's in the raid, territory battles, territory wars. That intersection is something that when you're not helping your own account, you're hurting your guild by not progressing, which means that your personal income of Conquest and Grand Arena kind of out the door. And so you've set your personal account back significantly because you're just sitting on gear that could be making a difference in the moment. And I know that sounds rich coming from somebody like me who has resources hoarded, but I've learned what characters do and don't help me, and at what point, whether relics or mods or whatever else, that they do become an asset to me rather than something that I would have to almost completely change my strategy to be able to use. So again, another reason why I don't think saving for the raid is the answer right now is because so many of you still need to grow your accounts to just that, I don't want to say middle of the road spot, but so many of you probably just need to get your accounts into a position where your guild and personal growths are intersecting, right? And that personal growth kind of having those 2 heads of Conquest and GAC, because it is very different. Conquest is no longer this game mode that you need 50,000 different galactic legends. A lot of it is about having some of those, key teams, key characters, the new stuff that was released, and being able to use them in some capacity to achieve the desired goal of hitting the best crate possible. Now, I will say this. I would not be using this time to overextend yourself. And overextending is kind of a unique concept in Galaxy of Heroes, because the argument you can always make is that any kind of progress on your account is good progress. But I'm going to kind of use this predicament that I know Egnard's is in, right? That, because we both, really love TB, and we're kind of staring at the Spectre team. And we both want this team at Relegate. But neither of us benefit from getting them to Relegate in territory battles. Right? Like the Relegate for this team for me on territory battles does not net me any additional waves as my guild's territory battle strategy currently stands. So it's kind of this funny thing where, yeah, for a personal intersection, getting these guys Relegate is awesome. But doing it for my guild, I'm adding galactic power, but I'm not adding combat missions. I'm better off trying to work on some Relegates that benefit the guild. And so this is kind of something that he and I are wrestling with, because it's that intersection between personal and guild growth. That is it smarter for us to go and invest in some additional Sith to make Haven class, get some more combats there. So that, my friends, is why I would not be saving my resources for the raid. I just think that we're going to get enough warning, having looked back at all the previous updates. We should get enough warning. And even, still some of you are probably in guilds where you might not even do the newest raid right away, where you would still stick with the Battle for Naboo, or where you're not going to score incredibly well in this brand new raid, so you don't want to go full bore until you know more about it. That's perfectly okay too. But I just wanted to cover that, guys. Let me know your thoughts below. Like, subscribe, comment. I love you all. May the Force be with you, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, my friends.